Awesome. So I am here with Jason Latshaw. He graduated from the Sexually Confident Man. It was a 10-session coaching series with me, and we met about every other week until those 10 sessions were completed. So welcome, Jason. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
with us here. And I'm really just curious, when you initially reached out to me, what was going on in your life and what problem were you hoping to solve?
So when I first reached out to you, I was coming out of a 25-year marriage. To my wife had recently discovered that she was gay, and so as you can imagine, that has some effect on my view of my own sexuality. Because even though we didn't realize she was gay until towards the end of our marriage, we were kind of struggling with that underlying issue for our entire marriage. And I also came from a very religious background, so I did not have sex before I was married, and I got married when I was 19. So the only person I had had sex with was my wife, who had figured out that she was a lesbian. So you know, I was in a rough spot, coming out of that and facing the prospect of trying to figure out how to get out there and date again, and just really kind of a devastated self-image when it came to sexuality. Because I had only had sexual experiences with someone who did not find my gender attractive. So that was a very difficult thing to deal with for my entire sexual life up until that point.
So you were getting out of this relationship, but from what I understood, you were starting to date again.
I was,
Yeah.
and I remember really distinctly. I mean, actually, the reason I reached out to you is because I was going on these dates and I was having good times with these women, but it was all very platonic. Like it was like I was meeting new friends. And I think that because I was determined to try to be faithful to my marriage for all these years and working with a lot of women, I had figured out this way to never flirt. Like I didn't know how to flirt. I didn't know how to do any of those things. So I remember I told you specifically that I felt like I had neutered myself and it had been permanent. Like I felt like now that I wanted to find intimacy or find romance, and I couldn't send those signals. Like I literally felt like I was incapable of projecting any sort of signals to anybody, and I was just like a eunuch. I thought I had become a eunuch, and
Mhm.
it was too late for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where was your sexual confidence?
I mean, it was like, if it was negative numbers. It was like below. A one would be generous. Seriously, like it was devastated. It was nowhere to be found. I mean, I remember I couldn't even really think about going to, like, right before the pandemic. I remember a friend of mine asked me to go to a party with him. I couldn't even like go to this party with him because I was like, what if I try to like talk to a girl and she doesn't want to? I couldn't even handle that. Like I would have been just destroyed by the idea that like someone didn't want to talk to me. And so I wasn't even taking risks. I mean, I was just like staying at home and hiding. So I was devastated. I had no sexual confidence at all. None.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understood that you wanted to date and you wanted to have satisfying sexual experiences, but you just like
Yeah, I was
sure
tremendously
how to do
tremendously lonely. Like I had felt, I hadn't had sex for the last 5 years of my marriage, and so I was, I was actually fixated on that. And I felt like my life, which is actually pretty good, I've come to realize, but I felt like my life was like ruined because I didn't have that relationship and those experiences. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a hugely important thing to me, and I just didn't know how to get from here to there. But I really wanted to date. I really wanted to be in a relationship with someone, and I just felt like it wasn't for me. I felt like it was owning a $20 million house in Malibu. Like, of course I would love that, but it's probably not going to happen to me. And I just have to accept that.
Yeah. Yeah. But you were at least willing to inquire about help and you reached out to me and we began together and we started doing sessions together. Um, what were the processes like for you?
They were great. I mean, I had 10 sessions with you, and there wasn't one session that wasn't like incredible. And like there wasn't one session in the whole process where it was like, okay, that was pretty good. I mean, for me, yeah, I also go to like more conventional therapy. But for me, they were just really significant and meaningful. And I felt like I made a lot of progress and learned a lot about myself, and really restorative in a lot of ways too. You know, I think you're madly talented at what you do, and I think
Thank you.
that it was interesting because talking to you over the course of half a year, I guess, or around there, I started having different experiences, and I could and the kind of the emotional fallout of those experiences. I remember one time, I think with some of the confidence that I got from our earlier sessions, I actually did get into a date with somebody where we were like on the beach and making out. It was really fun, having a really good time. And then I remember really clearly, it was like I saw myself from like a third person perspective with this woman having a good time, and it just this tremendous amount of shame. Like, who do you think you are? You look so stupid right now. Like, who do you think you are doing this? This is ridiculous. She feels sorry for you. That's the only reason she's doing this with you. And I remember I brought that to you, and like our whole session was kind of built around where that voice was coming from. And I felt like you really helped me figure out where that was coming from, and integrate that so that that wasn't an issue. And it was a huge issue. I mean, it kind of like ruined that night for me. And I didn't deal with that again. So I love your methods because it feels like you're very in tune to what's going on, and you're very nimble, and that you're able to like go exactly where I needed to go. And it didn't feel like you were ushering me through this pre-planned program that I had to do. It felt very like in sync with where I was. And I mean, I came out of every session like creatively inspired, sexually inspired, like figuring out more and more of my own identity and who I was. I mean, I felt like I got 4 times the amount than was promised. In so
Amazing.
many ways. So yeah, the sessions were amazing for me. Like I can't say enough about them.
Yeah, we definitely had a really good trusting co-relationship, and like you really trusted me and I could really tune in with your body mind and see where it was at. So you were just like a really amazing fun person to work with, and you were really accessible and you were really open with me. So that's kind of like why I could go so deep, as you were allowing for that,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
it's a co-created relationship, so that was actually a lot of fun for me too.
Yeah.
And I just remember by session 3, I remember there was this mile marker, and I was like, wait, you had a successful date and you had sex, and you had sex to completion, which means like you didn't lose your erection. And I was just like, those are really good results.
I know. I know. Absolutely. Yeah, I was kind of shocked myself because especially like our first session when I was telling you this sad story, and I didn't think I'd ever get to have any experiences with a woman to that point, I was amazed myself. Like it was incredible. It felt like miraculous to me. And I don't have any doubt like that. I don't think those things would have happened for me, certainly not in the way they did or as quickly as they did if I hadn't been working with you, because I just, I just wasn't, I just had so many issues. I wasn't able to do that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
so no doubt about it. The progress was amazing.
Hmm. Yeah. So what were some of the biggest takeaways or like gems that you've gotten and you've integrated into your life?
I think that for me, I was really plagued by a lot of self-doubt. And I think you really helped me learn that that self-doubt was not necessarily me. Like it was a part of me, but that, we had this metaphor of kind of like the knight's table of my heart or something. And so that was one voice that I could listen to, consider, and find the gift of, like, what was that self-doubt trying to do? It was trying to protect me, and I need to understand that I am actually safe. Like, and you did a really good job of, and I'm a very visual person, so this was actually really fun for me, but like, of visualizing those parts of my heart and kind of giving that scared part a place to play and a place to be confident and to be able to say to it, this isn't your responsibility to figure this out. I might get hurt and that's okay. Like, whereas before I learned those tools with you, that voice was all I could hear. And it drowned out every other part of me, even the part of me that just wanted to move on. I think another thing that you really did for me was, with my relationship with my wife, that was a very complicated relationship because we were married 25 years and we still love each other so much. And I think that we hurt each other a lot. And I think you really helped me get to the core of that pain, which was kind of like associated with guilt for me and also keeping me from moving on like I needed to, because I think that I felt really, I felt like a ghost that was haunting a house because I hadn't figured out what had happened there. And so I think that you really helped me kind of like honor her and honor our relationship, and which is important to me, because and be able to move on. So I think, those were two of the gifts that you gave me, but there were so many. It's hard, like, again, like there wasn't one session where I didn't feel like I learned so much. And again, it helped me, I'm a writer, it helped me creatively, it helped me, all those things are connected, and it just helped me with my own just confidence in life as a person. Like, so yeah, every single session just had a dramatic effect on me, and it felt like there were 2 or 3 gems per session that I got to
go
enjoy.
review the notes and see like, wow, there's a lot in here.
I know, there really were. There's a ton. And so, yeah, it was a fantastic, it was amazing. And again, I'm in conventional therapy too. I think that's important. But these sessions felt more dramatic and momentous, and like, I love hiking, and one of the things I love about hiking is like you can be at the bottom of the trail and you can look at the top of the trail and it's like a mountain. It looks like, wow, I'm going to be there soon. And then when you're at that point at the top of the mountain, you look back and you're like, oh, that's where I was. I just love being able to track dramatic progress like that. And that's how it felt week to week with you, where conventional therapy feels like I'm talking about the same thing every week, and with you it just felt like just making such strong movements and really digging into some of the things that were really holding me back. And so, yeah, the sessions were a real gift, and just felt like I lost time, felt like they were really eternal in a good way. Like, how much time was that even? It was fantastic. Yeah.
And I saw that something began to happen. It's kind of like these processes work on deconditioning and like deprogramming parts of you that you picked up that weren't really truly you, that were sitting on top of your true essence and like who you really are and what your sexual authenticity is, right? It's like it's really hard to express yourself sexually if you're kind of all muddled with all of the societal and religious and shame and conditioning and all this stuff. So we would start to unravel that, and then like your essence would start to shine, and you'd be like, oh, like I'm just Jason. And like we would get to like the depth of your essence, and I can't remember like the core words that we had, or core phrases.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, you're reminding me of something that was really eye-opening for me, where I say that I have a religious background, and I still do have faith, and spirituality still means a lot to me. And it was never fake for me. It was never hypocritical. Like, I've always been very earnest about my belief from when I was really young. And I've taken quite a journey from when I was very young, but it like kind of a sort of like innocence and integrity really meant a lot to me. And so, but at the same time, I'm a very sexual person. I always have been. I've always had like very deep and strong desires. And because of my religious context growing up, those two things we're at war with each other. And I think one of the gifts that you really gave to me at one point is in the course of one of our sessions, you encouraged me to see those two parts of me as supporting each other and dancing with each other.
Mhm.
And the idea of, you know, being holy and innocent and earnest, along with being sexual, was really liberating to me. I mean, it was really kind of beautiful insight. And so I think that that is like part of that essence that you're talking about. It was like, oh my goodness, like both of these are like a huge part of just life force and existence, and they can be working together. That was a really fantastic breakthrough for me. You
Mm.
know, and that was another thing, like, you know, that was like a collaborative that came through our session. It wasn't like you had it prepared to lecture me about it. It was like, and so I just really appreciated it. Everything felt really true and authentic, and yeah, really beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much material there.
I
There's so
know.
much juiciness there. Um, so I would love to hear about your relationship and where it's at, and do maybe just some successes there.
Yeah. So again, you know where I started, where I was like, I felt like a eunuch. I felt neutered. I felt like I'd never be able to meet anybody. I have since met a really wonderful woman who lives in Los Angeles. She's a beautiful person. She's physically beautiful. She's an incredible. She's brilliant. She's very warm. She's a very kind person, which is really important, and she's a very sexual person. And we've really had a wonderful time together in every way. And it's been, you know, a year ago, the Jason from a year ago wouldn't even believe like the good times that I've been, you know, the conversations I've been able to have with her, and the times that I've been able to share with her, and just the love that we have, and the care, and the sex that we have. I mean, it's been miraculous. And you know, again, actually, one thing to add is, I think a year ago, I had kind of gone through a journey with my body, but I hadn't really completed it, because there was still a part of me, I think, that was punishing my body for, you know, feeling like undesirable and feeling unattractive. And um, so that's another benefit of the work that we've gone through, is I really feel like I've come to accept and appreciate my body more in the last year. Because I've never done any of the meditation and breath stuff and like the grounding, and I just have never done that stuff. And so all of that kind of like made me feel my body more and appreciate my
Mm.
body. And so another side effect, another really great benefit is I feel like I've come to the end of that journey of like, I really like the body that I'm in now. You know, like I work out, I treat it well. And I feel, I mean, if we're talking confidence now, like, yeah, I have a lot of confidence now. I'm not like, not that I'd want to, because I'm in a committed relationship, but if I had to go to that party with my friend now, I would easily go. And whether I met someone or not wouldn't really matter. Like, because I know I'm worthy of love. I know that I'm worthy of intimacy. I know that, you know, I know that my life is good. I know that my life is actually fantastic. And even if, and I wouldn't want this to happen, but if the woman that I'm dating right now, if we were to break up, I would still have a good life. Like I know that I have worth outside of, and I defined myself so much by like the love that I felt like I didn't have in my marriage before. And now, like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. I'm not going to define myself by the love that I feel like I should have, or something like that. I realize, yeah, I've gotten to the point where, I mean, 10 maybe seems too high, but like an 8, like a solid 8, and that maybe I'm just being humble, but like, I just feel like I know now that oh, you know, another thing that we really talked about a lot was belonging, because you know, and I think you helped me understand that I belong. That's what I was about to just say. Like,
Yeah.
I know now that I belong. And I think before, I felt like I had to apologize for my presence a lot of times, be like, oh, I don't even know why I'm here. Like maybe I shouldn't be here. And now I know that I belong. Like I make things better for people when I'm around, and not in an egotistical way, but just like I just know that, and I can be confident of that. And so, yeah, I mean, it really, again, like I said, like top of the mountain versus very bottom in the valley. Like I can just see that progress, and it just seems miraculous. Like how is it even possible to get from there to here? But
Yeah.
that's what's happened,
Step by step, breath,
Yeah.
breath by breath.
Yeah. Breath by breath. Yeah. Session by session.
So
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that your sense of self-worth and like, I don't even know, we didn't really talk a lot about self-love, but it really is self-love of just like, I'm inherently worthy of love no matter what, no matter if this person accepts me or they're in my life or not. Like there's this unshakable sense of self that you've really established that like, it's interesting how attractive that actually is though. You're
I
like,
know.
I could have it or not have you, and it's fine, and I'm going to be fine. And so like that is unshakable, and it's actually eternal. Like that's an
Yeah.
eternal quality. And as much as we want human love to be a stable, constant thing in our life that we always have, we all know it's like this. Like we all know it's like
Yeah.
this. And it's nice
Yeah.
to have that inner sense of stability and self-love and worthiness so you can handle and weather those storms of the human condition.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think in some ways that's the biggest difference is I've just become a person who's comfortable and knows that there's an inherent worthiness to me, and it's not dependent on what any random person is feeling about me at the moment. And so when we talked a lot about like the divine masculine and like all of that, I just feel like all of those um all of those things just really contributed to make me understand like I belong, I'm accepted, because I had been rejected a lot of times in small ways and large, and I think I had kind of defined a part of myself by that. And so just knowing that even if I get rejected sometimes, I'm inherently like acceptable, was really huge for me, and I do think, by the way, you know, I didn't meet this woman who I'm in a relationship now until we were a few sessions in. And if I had met her without being in these sessions, I was projecting a desperation. I was projecting oh, I know it's only a moment until you reject me. And I was probably projecting a lot of ambivalence because as much as I wanted relationships, I was really afraid of them too. And so I know that by the time I met this woman, a lot of those things had, been kind of worked out, even to the point where I think I was much more attractive to her than I was to women who I was meeting even a month or two earlier. Because I wasn't nearly as like chaotic inside, about the whole thing. And so it was able to happen. I was able to be myself and relate, which was great.
And that's kind of all we really want. Like we're not trying to build a false facade of charisma or confidence or coerce someone to being attracted to you. We just want your natural inherent authenticity to be able to connect and be intimate with someone and actually allow yourself to be seen. And like that's it. And that's kind of where the root of sexual chemistry comes from, and attraction and all of these things. And it's actually very simple when it's like boiled down, when it's like distilled. It's very, very simple, but we have so many complexities in our life that we have to kind of burn off. So where are you at now? What's going on in your life? What are you celebrating? What are you excited about?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm excited about the post-pandemic life, which is, I think, imminent soon. And, I'm excited about the people that I love. And I feel very grateful. I feel like I have more than my share. I'm excited about traveling overseas with my girlfriend. And, I'm excited and tremendously grateful that my ex-wife and I still have a really nice, really great relationship. And there's certainly no guarantee of that, and we get along better than we did during our marriage. It's wild, but it's true. We're better friends now. And I'm excited about, I have some creative projects that I'm super psyched about. And again, I think that my creative output has been even better as I've grown in the erotic ways. Like, I think that that's a very similar energy. And I mean, you know that. And I think that it's really helped. Like, growing in confidence there has really helped me creatively. And so working on a TV show, working on a couple novels. So yeah, it's all, I mean, I'm really grateful for my life right now. Again, like, it feels like by working on what I came to you to work on, I've been given like 7 times the gifts that I was asking for, because I was able to realize all of the good things that were in my life and be grateful for them, and they were things that I was taking for granted because I was so desperate to solve this one aspect. And so by working through that one aspect, I feel like I've just newly am seeing like how amazing my life is, how much I love my kids, how much I love even the smallest moments and all of that. So there's almost nothing I'm not celebrating. That's the answer. I'm celebrating everything.
I love that so much. Well, just to kind of wrap it up, why would you recommend this program to other men?
Okay, well, I do believe from my, I have a lot of friends who are men, and I think that the way that you kind of explore what's going on internally in the masculine heart is, well, it was for me, and I think it would be for most of my friends, just completely vital. It's like the way we're socialized is to not ask a lot of the questions that you ask. And you know what? It makes us stunted, and it makes us like very one note, and it makes us very kind of binary. Like, you're either happy or you're miserable. Like, you don't have the flexibility or the color palette to like realize what's actually going on inside of you. And I think that it's really hard to grow up in our society as a guy and not fall into that trap where you're either angry or you're happy, you don't even know why, And so I would highly recommend what you do for any guy, even if he thinks that he's got it all figured out, because I think you open people up to understanding the underlying, like, what's underlying their happiness or their unhappiness, what might be holding them back. Maybe they seem like they're satisfied, but who knows, like, what they could be achieving, or what they could have in their relationship or in their sex life. And I think also a lot of guys really settle, and they're just like, well, this is life. I know you were promised something better, but you get older and you ache, and you're sore at night, and your wife doesn't talk to you, and that's just life. That's just growing up. And I think that that's not true. And I think that you can give men a lot of tools that they're denied just by like the way we're socialized and the way we grow up. You get us to think about things in a way that we never allowed ourselves to think about before. I really do. I think it's really I think I would literally recommend it to any guy. But I would say I think that the guy needs to show up too. Like, I could see, like, if a guy shows up and he's not ready to dig into some of the pain, like, I feel like I cried in every one of our sessions. I can see that if the guy just is like, this is bullshit, I don't want to have to talk about these things, then their sessions probably wouldn't go very well. So I do think there's a responsibility of the person showing up. You're not going to like overwhelm them with what you do and like destroy their defenses. But I think as long as and I was desperate. So I was desperate, and also like, your technique is just a really good fit for me because it's very imaginative, it's very visual, and I just love that kind of stuff. And it's why I like to be a writer. I'm just into it. It's fun, But I think that if a guy does come, I think that as prep, I would recommend that any guy kind of like prepares himself and kind of promises himself to give himself over to the process and to trust you and to trust that even though it's like maybe going to be dwelling on things that he'd rather not think about, that going there is going to be good. You know, again, like the metaphor of, I mean, a lot of times it felt like we went deep into a cavern and came out with treasure, right?
Yes.
It really did. I mean, it really did. And so, and I got a lot of tools from it, like a lot of visualizations that I can think about, just like, oh, okay, like, you know, I mean, I would highly recommend it to everyone, but I would tell people that they have to come in with like an openness to the process too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an accessibility that needs to happen. And there is a strong relationship correlation with your mind and sensation.
Yeah.
Because I primarily work with somatics, and that means like working with the body. So we're, the process is very much of like calming the neocortex and being meditative, and then kind of going down and into the body, which is where all of these memories are stored. So in order to access that, there is some awareness of self and feeling and sensation that one needs to access, or just like know that they can develop that muscle more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I feel like for myself, I started from zero with that. I had no familiarity with meditation. And in fact, because I grew up in a really kind of a religious environment where actually like it was a Christian environment, but it was very like people were expected to like shake and laugh and fall to the ground and stuff. I had actually shut myself off to a lot of bodily experiences, and I lived in my head. So I do feel like even though I started from zero, like we got there pretty quickly because, and again, I think you're very good at it, and I was open to what you were doing because I was desperate and I knew I needed help. I knew I had not figured it out. So
Yeah.
I was like, anything you tell me, I will listen. You're an expert. So yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. I really would.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I work with women as well, but this is kind of more of the
And by the way, I have recommended it to many people.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, I have, absolutely. Because I just think it's been a phenomenal experience for me. And I'm still doing sessions. Like I'm a graduate, but I'm still going to do sessions with you because every single one of them is like priceless.
So happy to hear that.
Yeah. Well,
oh, it's such an honor to have taken you on that journey and just like witnessed you through such a huge arc or mountaintop, or we definitely went on many journeys, and thanks for trusting me and willing to go so deep. It's been really amazing.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you too. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it.
oh well, giving you a cyber hug, and we're almost
Right.
able to do that here in LA. Like hug other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, have a beautiful day. Thanks so much for tuning in.
You too. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right.